Peter Obi has broken his silence again, and this time, his message to the federal government is strong, sharp, and impossible to ignore. This statement has already sparked reactions across Nigeria, and this morning, we break it down clearly, directly, and without fear. Peter Obi has spoken again. And this time, his message is sharp, serious, and impossible for the federal government to ignore. He did not raise his voice. He did not shout. But the power of his words hit the country like a hammer. Because when Peter Obi speaks, people listen. Not because of fear, but because of trust. Not because he controls power, but because he carries conscience. In his new message, he warned the government about the direction of the country. A direction that worries many Nigerians. A direction that leaves families struggling, youths frustrated, and the nation moving in circles. He said something simple, but heavy. Nigeria cannot continue like this. And those 7 words opened a fresh conversation across the country. For months, people have complained. People have cried out. People have talked about the rising cost of living, the fear on the streets, the confusion in the system, and the silence from those who should protect them. But when Peter Obi repeated these concerns, the country paid attention again. Because he speaks from a place millions understand, a place of frustration mixed with hope. A place of truth mixed with responsibility. A place where he refuses to stay quiet when things are falling apart. Obi's message did not come from anger. It came from observation. He looks at the country like someone who is worried about a home slowly falling apart, while the people in charge pretend everything is fine. He sees the widening gap between the rich and the poor. He sees young people losing faith in a system that does not reward honesty or hard work. He sees a nation that is full of potential, but trapped by poor decisions and weak leadership. So when he warned the government, he was not just talking. He was speaking from the weight of what he sees every day. And Nigerians know that. That is why his words spread quickly. People did not just hear what he said, they felt it. They felt the truth inside the warning. They felt the urgency. They felt the frustration of a man who wants his country to rise, yet keeps watching it fall into the same cycle again and again. Across the country, people began discussing his message. Some said he spoke the truth that many leaders are afraid to say. Others said he put words to the suffering that ordinary citizens carry silently. Some described his message as a wake-up call that should not be ignored. And many agreed that Nigeria needed someone bold enough to say what everyone has been thinking. The timing of his warning made it even more powerful. It came at a moment when many Nigerians feel trapped by rising prices, insecurity, and uncertainty about tomorrow. People wake up every day unsure of what new hardship they will face. Parents are struggling to provide basic needs for their children. Small businesses are collapsing under the weight of expenses they cannot control. Young men and women are losing motivation because they feel they are fighting a battle they cannot win. Peter Obi's message gave voice to all of this. He spoke with calmness, but the seriousness in his tone was unmistakable. It was the kind of calmness that comes from deep concern. He told the government that pretending will not solve anything. He said leaders cannot act blind to the suffering around them. He reminded them that people are reaching their limits. And he warned that a country cannot survive when trust is slowly dying in the hearts of the people. His message challenged the idea that everything is under control. It challenged the excuses. It challenged the silence. It challenged the comfort of leaders who believe Nigerians will continue to endure anything. Obi's words acted like a mirror, forcing the government to look at the nation as it truly is, not as they claim it to be. As people continued to discuss his warning, one thing became clear. This was not just another political comment. This was a moment of truth spoken at a time when truth is needed the most. Obi's voice has always stood out because he speaks with clarity, empathy, and responsibility. He does not speak to create chaos. He speaks to create awareness. He speaks to remind leaders of the weight of their duty. He speaks to remind Nigerians that they deserve better. And that is why this warning is shaking the country. Because it comes from someone who has nothing to gain from pretending and everything to gain from saying the truth. As his message continues to echo across the nation, the question now is simple. Will the government listen? Or will they ignore the warning and allow the country to drift even further? Either way, Peter Obi has done what leaders should do. He has spoken up, clearly and boldly, at a time when silence is dangerous. Peter Obi's message was not a random talk. It was not a political attack. It was a direct call for responsibility. He made it clear that leaders should stop pretending. He said the government must face the real problems of the people. Not the problems on papers. Not the problems inside offices. But the problems on the streets. He warned that Nigerians are carrying too much pain. Prices are rising. Businesses are collapsing. Security fears are increasing. And many citizens feel forgotten. He said this kind of pressure is dangerous. A country cannot survive when the people are losing hope every day. He told the government to wake up. Not tomorrow. Not later. But now. To Peter Obi, leadership is not about speeches or ceremonies. It is about results. It is about listening to the people. It is about responding to crisis before it turns into something worse. He stressed that Nigeria has reached a point where excuses can no longer cover reality. Obi reminded the government that every decision affects millions of lives. A failed policy affects families. A neglected security issue affects communities. A careless statement affects national confidence. And when these things pile up, the nation becomes fragile. He pointed out that Nigerians have become experts at surviving pain, but that does not make the pain acceptable. He said it is unfair for citizens to work hard every day and still feel like they are moving backwards. Many people have lost their savings. Many have lost their businesses. Many are losing their dreams because the environment does not support growth. Obi said the government must stop acting as if everything is normal. He insisted that the situation is serious, and leaders owe it to the people to admit that things are not okay. A leader who refuses to admit a problem cannot fix it. And a nation that denies its challenges cannot overcome them. He warned that the hardship Nigerians face is not just economic, it is emotional. People are mentally exhausted. People are spiritually tired. People feel abandoned. And when citizens begin to lose faith in their country, it becomes a national emergency. Peter Obi also spoke about fairness. He said leadership must treat everyone equally, not just a small circle of privileged individuals. He said Nigerians want justice in policies, fairness in opportunities, and transparency in decisions. Without these things, distrust grows. He cautioned the government against ignoring the voices of ordinary people. He said that when people complain, they are not attacking the nation, they are asking for help. And a responsible government listens before things fall apart. Obi said the government should stop shifting blame onto the past. He reminded them that leadership means taking responsibility for the present and building a better future. Blaming yesterday will not fix today, and it will not improve tomorrow. Nigerians want solutions, not stories. They want leadership, not excuses. He spoke about the future of young people, explaining that the frustration among Nigerian youths is a sign of deeper trouble. When a country loses its young generation to hopelessness, it loses its strength. He said the government must create real opportunities, not empty promises. Young people need direction, guidance, and a country that values their potential. Obi also talked about national unity. He warned that hardship divides people. When citizens feel neglected, they begin to see each other as enemies instead of brothers and sisters. He reminded the government that unity is not achieved by slogans, it is achieved by fairness and justice. He said a hungry nation cannot be peaceful. He said a nation full of fear cannot progress. He said a nation without trust cannot move forward. His words cut deep because they reflect the truth that Nigerians live with daily. He was not speaking from theory, he was speaking from reality. What makes Obi's message important is not just what he said, but the timing and the honesty behind it. He spoke at a moment when many Nigerians feel lost. He spoke at a moment when the government claims progress, but the people feel the opposite. He spoke at a moment when silence would have been easier, but silence would have been dangerous. His warning forces the country to look inward. It forces leaders to examine their choices. It forces citizens to rethink what kind of future they want. Peter Obi's message matters because it is a call to action wrapped in truth. It is a reminder that Nigeria cannot keep going in the same direction. It is a push for leaders to rise above politics and focus on the people who trusted them with power. His voice carries weight because he speaks from a place of sincerity and concern. And in a time of confusion, his words provide clarity. Peter Obi's warning is more than a comment. It is more than a reaction. It is more than a political statement shared in passing. It is a reflection of where Nigeria stands today, and a reminder of the direction the country must choose. His message forces a serious question. What path is Nigeria truly following? Because if the current path continues, the pressure on the people will keep increasing, and the weight of the problems will fall on everyone, not just on the weak or the poor, but on the entire country. Obi made it clear that leadership must rise above ego, pride, and excuses. He said this is not the time for arguments. This is not the time for political rivalry. This is not the time for leaders to defend themselves instead of defending the country. This is the time for action. To him, the future of Nigeria depends on decisions made today. If leaders keep ignoring the signs, the nation will continue to drift. If they keep pretending, the people will continue to suffer. And when people suffer for too long without relief, desperation becomes the new normal. He reminded the country that no nation moves forward on silence and denial. A nation moves forward when leaders acknowledge the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable. He warned that the government cannot continue acting like everything is fine when the citizens are clearly struggling. Peter Obi's message shines a light on something many Nigerians are afraid to admit. Hope is slowly fading. People are becoming tired of waiting for change. People are losing confidence in systems that should protect them. People are asking questions, but the answers are either unclear or dishonest. He said a nation cannot build its future on confusion. There must be direction. There must be structure. There must be commitment to real reforms. And there must be a leadership that understands the urgency of the moment. Obi stressed that the future of Nigeria belongs to young people, and when young people lose trust in their country, that country begins to weaken from within. He said the energy of the youth should be used to build the nation, not wasted in frustration. He warned that if Nigeria continues this way, many young talents will look for hope outside the borders because they cannot find it at home. He also spoke about unity. He said a divided nation cannot grow. A divided nation cannot succeed. A divided nation cannot develop. He reminded leaders that hardship creates division, because when people are suffering, they begin to look for someone to blame. Instead of building unity, hardship breaks it. Peter Obi said Nigeria can still recover, but recovery will not happen by accident. It will require intentional leadership. Leadership that listens. Leadership that plans. Leadership that respects the people. Leadership that understands that trust is a valuable resource, and when it is lost, everything else becomes unstable. He also stressed the importance of accountability. He said leaders must be honest about how they use power and resources. A country cannot grow if money meant for development ends up in private pockets. A future cannot be bright if corruption continues to hold the nation down. Obi's message reminds Nigerians that the country still has potential. Nigeria has brilliant minds, natural resources, strong culture, and a large, energetic population. But without good leadership, these strengths become wasted opportunities. He said the future depends on choices made today. Will leaders choose responsibility or denial? Will they choose transparency or secrecy? Will they choose the people or their own interests? Will they choose progress or excuses? His warning is not meant to embarrass the government, but to guide them. It is a call for reflection. A call for sincerity. A call for courage. A call for leaders to do the right thing, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. He reminded the government that time is not waiting. The world is moving, and Nigeria must move too. If the nation continues to delay important decisions, the future will become more difficult for everyone. Peter Obi's message also challenges Nigerians themselves. He encourages citizens to stay informed, stay aware, and stay united. He reminds them that a better future requires collective effort. Leaders must lead, but citizens must also demand accountability and stay engaged in the affairs of the nation. As his message continues to spread, one truth becomes clear. Nigeria is at a turning point. The country can either correct its course or continue sinking deeper into hardship. Obi's warning stands as a signpost pointing toward a better path. A path where leaders act with responsibility. A path where the people's voices matter. A path where the nation's future is guided by truth, not deception. And that is why his words carry so much weight. Because they are not just words, they are a call to rebuild a country that has suffered for too long. Peter Obi's message makes one thing very clear. If Nigeria must survive, if Nigeria must grow, if Nigeria must become better, then the work must start now. Not later. Not someday. Now.